Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. This is Tuesday, December 15th, and I'm here with my key executive team in Westchester County to give you an update on what we expect is going to happen in the next 36 hours to weather in our area with an impending snowstorm. I'm joined by our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins, and other key members of my executive team, Joan McDonald, Chris Steers, and Hugh Grecian, who is the Commissioner of Public Works Transportation and is sort of the critical department involved in most of the issues that happen whenever we have weather-related issues. We've received the same report that you're no doubt picking up on general media, that we have a winter storm warning for weather that will turn rather nasty tomorrow, Wednesday, and they expect that snow is going to begin at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. That's roughly 24 hours from where we are right now. That we expect anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of snow in the coastal portions of Westchester County, the Sound Shore, and then inland and further north from 12 to 18 inches. This is a serious snowstorm. It's coming a little bit earlier in the year, in December, prior to Christmas time, but nevertheless, it is a significant snow incident that we're looking at. The winter storm warning actually begins in effect this afternoon, and everyone should start to make preparations in anticipation of heavy snowfall from Wednesday night into Thursday. Heavier wet snow is expected in the southern part of Westchester County, and it might be impactful for power outages. If there are higher winds, heavy wet snow will affect the lines, the overhead lines. We've been through a number of incidences where we've lost power, and this is another time to be able to be on the lookout for this. The heaviest snowfall will be tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 1 to 2 inches per hour snowfall. And those rates will extend through the overnight period of Wednesday into Thursday. If you do not have to be on the road after the Wednesday rush hour, or if you can make the Wednesday rush hour start earlier for you and get back to your place of residence, that would be a very wise thing to do. Expects to taper off Thursday morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So not only would we have a normal Wednesday afternoon difficult rush hour, we would expect to have a difficult rush hour in the morning as we dig out from all of this. The winds are predicted coastal from 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusts up to 40. Wednesday evening, we expect to see a higher area of wind. So by all means, the individuals should be able to take items off of your outdoor decks, take things off of your patio, things that could blow around and become projectiles if they get hit by the wind. You can do that preparation tonight and not run into any problems tonight and stay ahead of the game. The folks who are going to be out on the water, Wednesday evening, high tide is going to be very impactful, rising water levels and wave action, midnight to 1 a.m. Wednesday into Thursday. That is the heart of the snowstorm. There may be coastal flood issues, and so a warning may be issued. And Thursday morning's high tide might bring minor coastal flooding as well. As it is wise to be off the roads, it is also wise to be off the Sound and off the river as we get ready for this weather event. There are a few things that the county government is directly responsible for. The executives behind me each have different responsibilities in these areas. We'll touch on them very briefly, and then we'll have another update tomorrow just before the storm begins so we can make sure that the projections are still online as we understand them. Our Emergency Operations Center will be staffed overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Again, tonight being Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday will be operating overnight. It'll monitor and respond as necessary. Our Emergency Operations Center brings together professionals from a host of different organizations, different departments of county government, different institutions, and they're in the room all to be able to communicate in real time to solve problems as they may occur. And that's particularly important during a snowstorm, when power outages occur, when roads are obstructed across the board. We are requesting that Con Edison and NYSEG provide on-site reps at the EOC. This is an overnight ask because we expect to have the heaviest snowfall overnight. And our local DPWs and our county DPW department will be working throughout the night as necessary. And of course, we'll have the advantage of having New York State resources as well during that period of time. From the transportation standpoint, Westchester County has certain very specific responsibilities. Hugh Grecian in his commissioner role oversees these. Our responsibility to Westchester County Airport is intact. Now we're at a point because of the pandemic where we have very little to no traffic coming out of the airport on the commercial side, which is a side that you as a consumer may be accustomed to driving up to the terminal. But as we always say, if there are any commercial flights that are scheduled, call in advance, check the carrier. They'll make a decision as to whether or not the flight will happen. Westchester County is an airport that does not store a lot of these airplanes overnight. So they usually have to fly in to then launch their flight out. And if they cancel, they might cancel the flight in its entirety. And since there aren't very many commercial flights, if you do hold a ticket for any commercial flights, do check ahead. Make sure that your travel plans are still intact. The general aviation at the airport continues at some level. It will usually drop off this time of circumstances, type of weather. But we will make sure that the airport stays open as long as it is safe to do so. And whenever it is unsafe to do so, we'll consult with FAA and close the airport. But we don't think it is of the major impact that it would normally be, because we really have reduced operations out at the airport. Westchester County is responsible for the Bronx River Parkway, from the split in Bronxville where the Sprain goes off to the northwest and the Bronx River Parkway goes northeast. And we have responsibility for that road all the way up to the Kensico Dam Plaza. It is our responsibility to plow that road. We will have brine treatment out there in advance on the roads, in the various parking lots that Westchester County owns, and also at the Grasslands Reservation, our campus in Valhalla, where we have a number of different things sited. County Jail is out there. We have labs and research offices, the police academy, the fire training facility. We have a host of other facilities out there as well. We are responsible for plowing those roads. And so we will treat those roads with brine in advance of the need for plowing. I think you can correct me. I think we have to wait till we see about 3 inches worth of snow before we start to plow. Is that the correct metric, so that the plows can work effectively? Which means, given the snow that's predicted, plowing would probably begin sometime about 24 hours from now when the snow starts to fall at rapid pace. We have our various salt sheds that are filled in the Bronx River Parkway and on the Valhalla campus, so we're ready. We'll have mechanic coverage from the county central garage, and we'll be ready to handle the roads that we have direct responsibility for. That's very important to note, because people will say, oh, I don't see any plowing going on. Where is Westchester County? Westchester County does not plow the vast majority of roads that you might travel on. Bronx River Parkway, Grasslands Reservation. The municipal governments are responsible for the roads in their jurisdiction. State is responsible for the interstate highway system and the remaining parkway systems. Our crews are available as assistance, and whenever we're called upon by a local government or by the state government, but they have that primary responsibility. We have responsibility for public safety. Our Westchester County Police does have the responsibility to police all of the various parkways. That means the Hutchinson River Parkway, the Bronx River Parkway, Sawmill River Parkway, Cross County Parkway, and a few others that are out there, smaller ones like the Central Westchester Parkway and Playland Parkway. And we will have extra crews out there. The patrol officers and the Special Operations Emergency Services Unit will be on duty 24 hours. This is a difficult time for our police officers, and we appreciate their service in moments like this. In these significant storms, the officers respond to spinouts. They respond to accidents. Any motorists that are stranded and need assistance, you'll get some assistance there. However, we oftentimes have a lot of these types of problems all happening at the same time. So we think it's very important for you to stay off the roads if you can, and if you have to travel, make the most direct route that you can. Drive slowly. All of the things that you know that you're supposed to do in bad weather. Do not speed. Do not jam on the brakes. Defensive driving. Don't tailgate the person in front of you. Try not to make any sharp maneuvers between lanes. All of those things will avoid spinouts, will avoid accidents, and then will avoid you having to wait for the county police to come and help you out. All of our various police services around Westchester County, all of the municipal services will be out similarly, and backup and mutual aid will be out there between to help people. But in the heart of a snowstorm, if it's going to snow as heavy as it's been predicted, even the massed accumulation of our police department, our emergency people, will find it difficult to be able to maneuver themselves on the road. So let's try to avoid those kind of situations in advance. The practical realities for all of us, I really don't like, and sometimes I fall into the category of being a nanny that tells you things that you already know, things that your mother and father told you when you were young. My parents told me when I was young, and, to pay attention, George. So I just repeat these things because this is common sense. You should know to do this, and you should do it. And since we are now on Tuesday before Wednesday, there's time to do it. Make sure that your tires are in good condition. If you have bad tires on your car, you're more likely to spin out. You're more likely to have a problem. If you have the wherewithal to change your tires between now and the snowstorm, do it. But if you don't, stay out of the cars that have the ball tires. Stay out of those cars during the snowstorm. You may not make it up a snowy hill, and you won't get the right traction, and that will be a problem. Make sure your windshield wipers are in good working condition. That you can resolve pretty quickly. They're easy to change. Make sure you do that. Fill up your gas tank. You never know what gas stations will or won't be open at what point in time. You could lose power. We could lose power. And when you're counting on being at a particular gas station that's open, you may find that gas station is not open at the time, and then you'll run out of gas, and that's not good. Make sure you have a phone charger in your car. You're going to need to have communication. Keep your phone charged to the greatest extent possible so you can use it to call for emergency help. Have a phone charger in the car. If you don't have one, stop at the store tonight, pick up one, put it in your car, test it out, make sure you have it. Dress warmly. You don't want to be stuck in the storm just wearing, light clothing, because you can jump in your car and jump out of your car. Make sure that you have gloves. Make sure that you have winter boots. They are with you. If you're stuck in a snowdrift, you're going to need them in order to maneuver about. If you do have a flashlight in your car, flares or reflective triangles, have some bottled water and non-perishable snacks in the car. Unfortunately, I have those normally anyway. But the idea is to make sure that you have a little food with you in case you are stuck for some period of time. You might be waiting for help, and help may be slow to get there. And you don't want to be in a situation where you can't stay hydrated and you can't have at least the minimum amount of nutrition. And if you can put a blanket in the car, do that, because you may need to keep warm, you and the folks that are with you. All of those things are simple, common sense things. And of course, when the snow starts to fall, it will accumulate. It'll accumulate on the hood of your car, on the roof of your car. You should clear those off before you drive. Everyone knows what it's like to drive behind somebody else, and the roof full of snow comes off of their car, goes right into your windshield. Your windshield wipers can't clean them, and you're blind for X number of seconds to a minute while you're driving on a road. So clean off your car before you drive it if snow has accumulated on it. Drive slowly. Boy, did I ever hear this when I was a kid. Drive slowly and drive defensively. Try to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a jeopardy situation to the best of your ability. And while you might have four-wheel drive vehicles, you might have tires that give you extra traction, don't test it. Don't go to the extreme of what you think your car is capable of doing. There's no percentage in that. You'll get home later, but you'll get home. And that's the important thing with all of these things. Our Beeline bus system will shift to snow routes at the appropriate time. That will be a public announcement. We're operating normally now. I believe we start the morning on normal route. But do keep in mind, if you commute on the Beeline bus system, meaning if you use it in the morning to go to one location and then you use it to come back, you may be coming back at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the middle of the snowstorm. And that won't be very pleasant to wait for the bus. So we encourage you through wherever your place of business is or whatever other things you're doing to try to adjust your schedules to leave early. We will make some announcement about the county workforce internally to the workforce so that they can clear the time necessary. But on the Beeline bus system, we will try to adhere to the routes and the schedules to the best of our ability. We have a number of routes that are hilly, many of them in the western part of the county along the Hudson River where there's steep slopes, some of them in northern Westchester. There are designated snow routes that are in effect. People who regularly ride the Beeline bus in certain routes will know where the snow route locations are. People who are traveling it for the first time may not know. Ask your driver when you get on the bus in the morning. Just say, if the snow comes, can I be dropped off here tonight, or can I pick up the bus in the same location? Just ask. It's easy enough to find out. But it is certainly likely if we get heavy snow, we will reduce the service. We may suspend the service. And we're also going to keep an eye on Metro North. Metro North often will make decisions about their service on the three lines, the Harlem line, the Hudson line, and the New Haven line, based on what happens on their tracks. And if a tree falls on the track or snow accumulation and they're not able to provide the same service, and there may be a delay coming out of New York City, which could create a problem if you take the train to the bus to get home and so forth. So talk with your family and make sure you have some alternate situations. So we will do our best to keep the Beeline bus system running. We will do our best to keep the airport open. We will do our best to make sure that the Bronx River Parkway is operative safely. And if it is not safe, we will close it at some point in time. We will do our best to make sure that the grassland reservations stay open, that our police officers are out there on the roads as necessary, that our emergency operations center is operating to try to link people. We'll be in touch with the local governments that provide certain services, and we'll be in touch with the state government to provide those services and the utilities to make sure we have power. That pretty much runs the gamut of what we're facing. This is not our first snowstorm as an administration. It's not our first snowstorm as New Yorkers. If we don't get a couple of these a year, then we feel cheated out of a legitimate winter. So you know what to do. We know what to do. We're going to do our very best to do it well. Things will not work perfectly in the heart of the snowstorm. Be patient and understand that we're going through an emergency, and we will get through the emergency. And if we all do what we're capable of doing, we'll try to do it as calmly as we can. I'm going to ask my Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins, to share any thoughts that he may have. He's been through a few of these himself as well. Ken, any thoughts you want to share on the coming weather?
Thanks, George. And the point that you're raising again is these are the things that are normal as far as what we've been told all along to ensure that we are making sure that we're safe and as secure as possible. As you said, George, that all of our mothers and fathers told us the same thing, which is to make sure that we have our car gas filled up, making sure that we have appropriate communication things in the car, making sure that our vehicle is as road ready as it can be, but also making sure that we have all our communication for in case in the unlikely event where there's a power outage, whether it's a cable outage and all those kind of things that can happen in a snowstorm. So working together, we'll make sure to get through this this particular time. It's expected right now 12 to 18 inches, depending on where you are. That's what the weather forecasters are, and it's a forecast. We want to err on the side of caution as always. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Ken. Now, I'm very grateful to have an experienced team around me. Our newest member of our executive team, Christopher Steers, has joined us. He has recent experience as village manager in Portchester and handling emergency services. He has prior experience in Florida, which is of no help to us right now. We don't get that kind of weather in Florida. Hugh Grecian has been involved in DPW services, both in the government and in the private sector for a long period of time. He's very experienced, and I turn to him for his judgment on what to do with the bus system and what to do with the airport. And Joan McDonald laughs when I talk about we're going to get some rough weather in Westchester County. She has a prior service as the commissioner of New York State Department of Transportation. So she worried about weather from Montauk to Buffalo, and there isn't a Westchester resident that can hold a candle to Syracuse and Buffalo residents or Messina and Ogdensburg. She worried about all of those areas during her state responsibilities. Joan, any further advice you'd like to give us based off of your experience? Joan McDonald.
Thank you, George. No, I think you've really captured it all, which is always to err on caution. And the employees of Westchester County will do everything in their power to make sure the roads are safe and that all of our residents get home safe and sound. And we will get through this and get to the other side. Thanks.
Thanks, John. We're available for any questions from the press via Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communications. We don't believe we have any at this point. So anyone who wishes to reach out to us can do so. We'll try to give you an update. Obviously, we're a day in advance. So this is a great time for preparation. I'll remind you again, all the things we've just talked about. Most importantly, with winds and snow, clear off your porches, clear off your decks, clear off your backyards, put things in a way so that they can remain stable throughout the course of this, and then ride out the storm at home to the best of your ability to do that. Many of us are working from home already because of the pandemic. And let me just close our press conference with an advance note of thanks to the other members of our executive team, our Commissioner Sheriff of the Department of Public Safety, Tom Gleason, and his team will be out there. Acting Commissioner of Emergency Services, Richard Wishney, is going to provide the leadership that we need at the moment with emergency services and supervising what happens at the EOC. Kathy O'Connor and her first deputy, Peter Tartaglia, will be monitoring all the county parks to make sure that whatever happens in the parks are dealt with, and that, there will be issues that will happen that will be affected by the weather conditions. We have Dr. Charlita Amler, who has done such a great job for us in the health department, and she and her team will be available to do those things that will require the health department to do because we still are in a pandemic. And there are many other individuals in our county department. Commissioner Vincent Kopicki and the team and the environmental facilities will keep our sewer treatment plants running. If there are problems in the sewer treatment system, we'll publicly let you know that. We don't anticipate it, but if anything happens, we'll certainly keep you posted. So with this update, we try to give you at least a little heads up, and we will be back in touch. Tomorrow morning, we'll be signing the Westchester County 2021 budget into law, into effect, and then shortly after that, we'll have a press conference to give an update. We'll look to see what happens overnight in the weather reports, if there are any changes, if there are any decisions made specifically when certain things might close. In anticipation of what information we have, we'll be happy to share that with you as well. If you have any questions, if you have access to an intranet, go on westchestergov.com. There'll be updated announcements on that area for any of these things. So at the risk of taking up your whole afternoon, I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thanks for watching. We hope we'll be able to get through this well. Are we getting a question now at the last minute? We're good. All right, very good. So you all have a good afternoon. Stay safe, and we'll communicate with you tomorrow with an update. Hopefully the news will be good, but whatever the news is, we'll share it with you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.